The moment you stop fearing the person who once controlled your emotions is the moment your real power begins, because nothing terrifies a toxic mind more than someone who has finally discovered their worth, reclaimed their peace, and refused to be controlled ever again. There comes a moment in life when a person begins to awaken to their own worth, and that awakening becomes a threat to anyone who once benefited from their weakness. A narcissist survives through control. Their confidence is often built upon the silence, fear, and emotional dependence of others. The moment you begin thinking for yourself, making decisions without their approval, and refusing to bend under pressure, the balance of power begins to change. What once felt comfortable to them suddenly becomes dangerous because your independence removes the influence they once held over your mind and emotions. Many people fail to understand that control is the true source of strength for such individuals. They may use charm, guilt, anger, praise, or even sympathy to keep people emotionally attached. At first, these tactics can appear harmless. You may believe they simply care deeply or want the best for you. But over time, you realize every choice you make must pass through their approval. Your confidence slowly weakens while their authority over your life grows stronger. The greatest turning point comes when you decide to reclaim ownership of your mind. The instant you stop seeking permission to live your life, you begin breaking invisible chains that held you captive for years. This is the moment a narcissist feels threatened, because independence exposes the one thing they fear most: losing power over another human being. When you no longer react to manipulation, their tactics intensify. They may become angry, cold, insulting, or even desperate. This reaction is not a sign of your weakness. It is proof of your growth. Your calmness becomes a mirror reflecting the insecurity they tried to hide behind control. The stronger your self-respect becomes, the less effective their emotional games appear. Life rewards the person who learns to stand firm in truth. Every great achievement begins with the courage to think independently. The world belongs to those who trust their own judgment instead of surrendering their destiny into the hands of controlling people. The moment you realize your peace is more valuable than approval, you begin stepping into a higher level of personal power. You must understand that freedom always demands courage. There will be moments when guilt tries to pull you backward. There will be days when loneliness whispers that returning to control is easier than standing alone. But growth never lives inside comfort. A strong mind is built through resistance, not surrender. Your independence is not selfish. It is the foundation of a meaningful life. The ability to protect your thoughts, emotions, dreams, and boundaries is the beginning of real success. No person has the right to dominate your spirit or dictate your worth. The human mind becomes unstoppable when it is no longer imprisoned by fear. The day you stop allowing others to control your emotions is the day your true life begins. Confidence rises, clarity sharpens, purpose awakens, and the very independence that once threatened others becomes the force that transforms your future into something powerful, peaceful, and unshakable. The moment you stop obeying a controlling person, you begin witnessing a side of them that was carefully hidden behind smiles, promises, and emotional persuasion. Manipulation often wears a gentle face in the beginning. It speaks softly, pretends to care deeply, and slowly trains the mind to seek approval before making decisions. But the day you choose to think independently, the atmosphere changes. What once appeared as affection transforms into pressure, anger, and emotional aggression because control is slipping from their hands. A manipulative person depends on obedience to maintain power. As long as you remain uncertain about your worth, they feel secure. Your silence feeds their confidence. Your fear strengthens their influence. Every time you ignore your instincts to keep them comfortable, you unknowingly surrender a piece of your personal freedom. Over time, This creates an invisible prison where your thoughts, emotions, and decisions revolve around avoiding conflict rather than pursuing purpose. The greatest victory in life begins the instant you recognize your own value. The human spirit was never created to live under emotional domination. Every individual possesses the power to direct their own mind, shape their own destiny, and protect their inner peace. The moment you awaken to this truth, obedience becomes impossible because your soul begins demanding freedom. This is when manipulation often shifts into aggression. When soft control no longer works, stronger tactics appear. They may raise their voice, attack your confidence, spread guilt, or create fear in an attempt to pull you back into submission. Their frustration is not caused by your failure, it is caused by your growth. They sense they can no longer influence your emotions the way they once did, and that loss of control exposes their weakness. Many people return to toxic situations because aggression creates doubt. They begin questioning their decisions and blaming themselves for the conflict. But you must remember something powerful. Resistance is often the proof that transformation is taking place. Every person who rises above limitation will face opposition. The stronger your independence becomes, the more uncomfortable it feels to those who benefited from your silence. A disciplined mind refuses to surrender under pressure. True strength is not found in shouting louder than others. It is found in remaining calm while chaos tries to break your spirit. Emotional freedom belongs to the person who can stand firm in truth without seeking validation from controlling individuals. Once you master your emotions, manipulation loses its power over your life. You must train yourself to value peace above approval. The opinions of toxic people cannot determine your future unless you allow them to occupy space in your mind. Success, happiness, and personal growth all begin when a person stops living for the comfort of others and starts living according to purpose and self-respect. There is enormous power in walking away from emotional control. The moment you stop obeying fear, guilt, and manipulation, your confidence begins to return. Your vision becomes clearer. Your energy grows stronger. And the same aggression meant to intimidate you becomes the evidence that you are finally reclaiming ownership of your life and stepping into the strength you were always meant to possess. There comes a defining moment in every person's life when they realize that peace is more valuable than approval and freedom is more powerful than fear. Breaking free from manipulation is not simply about leaving a toxic situation. It is about reclaiming control over your thoughts, emotions, decisions, and future. The greatest prison a person can live in is the fear of disappointing those who seek to control them. Once that fear is broken, a new level of strength begins to rise from within. Fear has destroyed more dreams, confidence, and opportunities than failure ever could. Manipulative people understand this truth very well. They often use fear as a weapon to maintain control. Fear of rejection, fear of conflict, fear of loneliness, fear of being misunderstood. Over time, these fears quietly weaken the spirit and convince a person to remain in situations that drain their peace and silence their potential. But the human mind possesses extraordinary power when it finally decides to rise above emotional chains. The moment you stop allowing fear to dictate your choices, you begin unlocking the courage that was hidden beneath years of doubt. You discover that peace is not something others give you. Peace is something you protect through discipline, boundaries, and self-respect. Many people wait for permission to live freely. They hope controlling individuals will suddenly understand, change, or approve of their independence. But freedom never arrives through permission. It arrives through decision. The day you decide your emotional well-being matters more than temporary comfort is the day your transformation begins. Breaking free often feels uncomfortable at first because growth demands separation from what once felt familiar. A toxic environment may become so normal that peace itself feels strange in the beginning. Silence may feel lonely. Boundaries may feel selfish. Distance may feel cold. Yet these feelings are not signs of failure. They are signs that your mind is adjusting to freedom after surviving emotional pressure for too long. True power is not loud or aggressive. Real power is calm, disciplined, and unshakable. It is the ability to protect your energy without guilt. It is the strength to walk away from disrespect without explaining yourself endlessly. It is the wisdom to stop fighting for acceptance from people committed to misunderstanding you. A person who protects their peace becomes unstoppable because their energy is no longer wasted on emotional chaos. Their focus sharpens. Their confidence grows. Their purpose becomes clearer. The mind performs at its highest level when it is free from constant tension and emotional confusion. This is why inner peace is not weakness. It is one of the highest forms of personal power. Every successful life is built upon the courage to make difficult decisions. Sometimes protecting your future requires leaving behind people who only valued the version of you that remained easy to control. This does not make you cruel. It makes you wise enough to recognize that your destiny cannot flourish in environments that constantly attack your spirit. The moment you break free without fear, you begin stepping into a stronger identity. You stop chasing validation and start building self-respect. You stop shrinking yourself to keep others comfortable and start honoring your own worth. And in that moment, your peace becomes your protection. Your confidence becomes your power. And your life begins moving toward the greatness that fear once tried to keep from you. Self-respect is one of the greatest powers a human being can possess because it shapes every decision, relationship, and direction in life. A person who lacks self-respect becomes vulnerable to manipulation, control, and emotional exhaustion. But the moment you begin valuing your own peace, time, and dignity, your entire life starts to change. You stop living to satisfy others and begin living according to principles that protect your future and strengthen your spirit. Many people sacrifice their boundaries because they fear losing approval. They remain silent when disrespected, tolerate behavior that drains their energy, and ignore their own instincts just to avoid conflict. Over time, this creates emotional weakness because every act of self-betrayal slowly damages confidence from within. A person cannot build a powerful life while constantly abandoning themselves for the comfort of others. Approval can become a dangerous addiction when your happiness depends on how others feel about you. The need to be accepted often causes people to ignore red flags, suppress their emotions, and tolerate unhealthy relationships that steal their peace. But the truth is simple. People who truly value you will never demand that you destroy yourself to keep them comfortable. Boundaries are not walls created to punish others. They are standards created to protect your mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. They define what you will accept and what you will no longer tolerate. A strong boundary teaches others how to treat you without the need for endless arguments or explanations. When you respect yourself deeply, you naturally stop allowing people to cross lines that damage your inner peace. At first, setting boundaries may feel uncomfortable because you are breaking old patterns of people-pleasing and emotional dependence. Those who benefited from your silence may react with anger, guilt, or manipulation. They may accuse you of changing, becoming selfish, or difficult to control. But this reaction often reveals an important truth. Some people only appreciated the version of you that lacked the courage to say no. A disciplined mind understands that temporary discomfort is often necessary for long-term peace. Every successful person learns the importance of protecting their focus, energy, and emotional stability. Without boundaries, distractions multiply, stress increases, and personal growth becomes impossible. The mind performs at its highest level when it is free from constant emotional chaos and unnecessary conflict. Self-respect requires courage because it demands honesty with yourself. It requires you to stop begging for love where there is no respect. It requires you to stop shrinking your voice to avoid upsetting controlling people. Most importantly, it requires you to believe that your worth does not decrease simply because someone fails to recognize it. The strongest people are not those who control others. The strongest people are those who have mastered themselves. They know when to walk away, when to remain silent, and when to protect their peace without guilt. Their confidence is not built upon approval from the outside world. It is built upon the knowledge that they honor their values even when it is difficult. The moment your boundaries become stronger than your desire for approval, your life begins to transform. Your confidence rises because you stop betraying yourself. Your relationships improve because respect replaces fear. Your purpose becomes clearer because your energy is no longer wasted trying to please everyone around you. And in that strength of self-respect, you discover a level of peace and power that no controlling person can ever take away. Every painful experience in life carries within it the seed of transformation. The struggle that once seemed designed to break your spirit can become the very force that awakens your strength, sharpens your wisdom, and redirects your future toward greatness. Toxic control often leaves deep emotional scars because it attacks confidence, freedom, and self-worth. Yet the human mind possesses an extraordinary ability to rise above suffering when it chooses growth over bitterness and purpose over pain. Many people spend years trapped under the influence of controlling individuals because they begin believing they are powerless. Constant criticism, manipulation, and emotional pressure slowly weaken the spirit until fear becomes stronger than ambition. Dreams are delayed. Confidence fades. Personal identity becomes buried beneath the expectations of others. But there comes a moment when the soul grows tired of surviving and begins demanding freedom. That moment becomes the beginning of personal transformation. Pain has the power to either destroy a person or develop them into someone stronger than they ever imagined. The difference lies in how the mind responds to adversity. Weak thinking focuses only on the suffering. Strong thinking searches for the lesson hidden within the struggle. Every challenge in life contains knowledge capable of building wisdom, discipline, and resilience if a person refuses to surrender mentally. Toxic control teaches valuable lessons about self-worth, boundaries, and emotional strength. It reveals the importance of protecting your peace and refusing to hand your identity to people who seek domination rather than genuine connection. Once you experience the exhaustion of emotional manipulation, you begin understanding the value of inner stability and self-respect at a much deeper level. The greatest mistake a person can make is allowing pain to create permanent bitterness. Bitterness traps the mind in the past and gives power to those who cause the suffering. Growth, however, transforms pain into fuel. It uses disappointment as motivation. It turns rejection into determination. It converts emotional wounds into wisdom capable of guiding future decisions with greater clarity and strength. Every successful person faces seasons of hardship that test their endurance. The strongest individuals are not those who avoided difficulty. They are the ones who refused to remain victims of it.